What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Spring Hills Podcast. My name is Garrett. I'm the worship pastor here at Spring Hills. In today's episode, I brought in another one of our marriage mentor couples, and they're going to share with us about the SYMBIS Assessment, which stands for Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts. So Sean and Jeanette Barclay are coming in. They'll share with us about the SYMBIS Assessment, which is really cool. I knew, almost nothing about this prior to doing this episode, so it was great to hear about it and just to know that this is one of the tools that our marriage mentor couples use to counsel other couples. Also, don't forget, Christmas is coming up, so starting next Wednesday, December 23rd, we will have our Christmas services online for you. What we're doing this year, we've got our services on Wednesday at 5 p.m. and 7 p.m., and then on Thursday, Christmas Eve, at 1 p.m., 3 p.m., and 5 p.m. They're going to be online, and what we're doing this year is we're putting together these Christmas boxes for your families. You can come and pick one up at the church. You can sign up for one. Go to springhills.org to find out more information about them. But what's in the box is candles and cookies and cocoa and crafts for the kids. That way, when you're watching the service with us, you can, the Silent Night song we do at the end, we all light the candles. It's going to be really cool to be able to give that to you at home to be able to participate in that way. So go to springhills.org, check out how to sign up for those. But don't miss our Christmas services next Wednesday and Thursday. It's going to be really cool. We always go all out. We've got a couple of really cool elements we're adding in this year, but it's so great to celebrate the birth of Christ together, and we're glad we get to do that with you this year. Let's get to this episode with Sean and Jeanette Barclay. I'm excited for you to hear this. We're going to be doing more marriage mentoring episodes in the future. We're also going to be doing a series in the new year called Tough Questions, where we will do a variety of topics. We won't just have marriage things, but we'll have finances and grief and depression and things that are a little more difficult to talk about. So we'll ask some tough questions and lots of different topics. And I'll bring in some marriage mentoring couples and some other counselors and pastors, and we're going to talk about what the Bible says about these things and just kind of dive in and break it open and dig into those things. So it'll be really great. That'll be coming in 2021 here on the Spring Hills Podcast. Let's get to this conversation with Sean and Jeanette Barclay. We have some more first-time guests. Sean and Jeanette Barclay are here, and they're going to be talking about something that they're involved with here at the church. We're doing another marriage episode, so we have done a couple of these now. You two are marriage mentors, correct?
Yes.
Correct. Great. Let's just start with you guys. Who are you? And just give us kind of some background of yourself, and then we'll start asking some other questions about your involvement with it.
Well, my name is Sean Barclay, and let's see, my wife and I have been married for 35 years. Got married at Luther Burbank Center. Actually, when it was a chapel, right? It was a chapel back then.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which I think that's where the church met in like the early 90s, right?
Yeah, early 80s. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, East Auditorium.
Cool.
That's right. That's right. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's where we first started going. Was in the
at
early
the Burbank
90s.
Center.
Yeah,
Spring Hills.
That's how we started going to the church, and then we moved to Redding for 10 years. Right when the property was being bought here. So
okay.
So when we did come back to visit with family, we did come by and see the building go up. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a long process. I just did the series with Brett and Eve about the story of Spring Hills, and it was 4 episodes going through just the different stages of it. And the episode where they talked about getting this property, it was basically just Brett just kind of almost like monologuing about it because he's told the story sometimes. Fascinating how they got this property and such a miracle. How did you two meet?
I saw Sean when I was 14 and didn't actually meet him until I was 16. We met at Starskate.
What is Starskate?
Starskate used to be a skating rink off of Highway 12.
Oh, cool.
As like a church of Scientology. I don't know what it is now.
Are you good skaters?
We were at the time.
Yeah.
I love skating. I'm a decent skater.
It was a Christian night.
It was Christian night, and so we were skating to Imperials.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
Did you both grow up in Christian homes?
I did.
You did?
I did not.
No. Okay.
No,
when did you become a Christian?
2000. What am I talking about? 1978.
70. Oh, long time. Okay.
No,
so you were, how old were you? High school?
I was 18.
18. Okay, cool.
At?
Oh, yeah.
At Hume Lake. Hume Lake. Is when I accepted Christ.
I love Hume Lake.
Yeah.
And if you hear the beeping right now, it's because people. I hear it through my headphones. But don't worry about the beeping. People are just they're building things out there. So if that picks up here, don't worry about it.
All right.
So Hume Lake, that's awesome. Honestly, Hume Lake I have some of my fondest memories there. I know a few not long ago, the fires were like threatening the campus and stuff, and we have a few friends that work up there, so a lot of prayer, and I think it's good. I mean, COVID's probably hit them pretty hard, but let's talk about Spring Hills. When did you start coming here? I know you said you moved to Reading, so were you here before that and then came back?
Yeah, well, it was 95. What year did we start going to?
I don't remember exactly what year it was. We were going to Spring Hills the last few years that they were at the East Auditorium,
okay.
Luther Burbank.
2005, yeah.
Yeah. And then we moved up to Reading, but I think one of my most fondest memories of that time, even though we had moved, was our son was baptized here on the property.
Oh, before they would do baptism services
pool,
and stuff, huh?
In a big pool. Yeah, I think it might have been before the church even opened up for services.
Yeah, he was saying they would do things like that here on campus just to be on the campus.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
So you have your son and you have a daughter.
Yes.
You have 2 kids then?
Uh-huh.
Okay, and they're both out of college now, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think I've met Christina, but I haven't met your son, I don't think, right? Is he...
Oh, you remember him.
He's in the Army. He's a chaplain.
Okay, cool.
He's been married for 6 years, and we have 2 grandchildren.
That's awesome.
So he's busy on assignment in Germany.
Okay. Yeah, and Sean, is your son tall?
He's 6'7".
Okay, and what are you, 6'8"?
I'm 6'8". I got him by just a little bit, but he is, what can we describe about Andrew? He's a big boy. He likes lift. So yeah. So,
he's military guy, so I'm sure he's in shape and big guy. Yeah. It's not often that there's people around the church that I look up to physically. So Sean, you stand out to me. Jason Rosendahl, who was our maintenance facilities manager for a long time, was another one that was like, you are a little bit taller than me, and he's a bigger guy than me too. It doesn't happen often, so it definitely is something I notice when I'm like, oh, there we go, someone's taller than I am.
You guys are all ballers too.
Basketball players, of course.
Players.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, you get the question all the time when you're tall growing up. You play basketball? Yes. Play basketball? Yes. I feel bad for the tall people that don't play basketball. Probably just get so tired of it. Christina, your daughter played basketball at Biola, right?
Yeah, she got do you play volleyball?
Volleyball, yeah. That's probably a little more common for
Andrew my son got a basketball scholarship. He played up at Simpson for a little bit.
Oh, what year was he at Simpson?
2007? No, 2008.
I would have played with him. I almost went there. I got a scholarship offer from Simpson out of high school. But yeah, I went up there. I loved Simpson. I just couldn't handle it anymore. After being sick, I lost all the weight and couldn't. Hard to get back in shape to do that. So that's cool to know. All right, let's talk about marriage mentoring. How did you get involved with marriage mentoring? I'm guessing because Brett and Andrea Sackett did say that there's only been one class so far. So it's kind of like the one class of everybody that did the introduction, right?
Training.
So you guys all came in together.
They did a 10-week training.
Okay, so it was pretty much probably the same way that Brett and Andrea did. Did you approach Garrett Ward and John Barrett about being marriage mentors, or did they come to you?
They came to us.
And why is this something that is on your hearts to serve?
Well, I think it's because of some things that that we've shared, that we've been through. We went through a rough patch about 4 years ago, and watched God just do a miracle and show us how we could really dedicate our lives and then be able to dedicate our marriage to Him, and be able to share some of the things we've been through, and also what God's teaching us through the curriculum. So, the 10-week training was great, and there was, I think, about a dozen couples that went through it.
Right.
Yeah, the other couples, by the way, if you're listening to this and you're part of the marriage mentoring team, you will get an email from me. I will be reaching out to all of you to get you onto the podcast. What's your role specifically in marriage mentoring?
Well, we're marriage mentors. Basically what we do is we discussed in the beginning if we want to be during kind of more of a recovery kind of situation, or with a couple, or if they're newly to be married. So
like a pre-marriage counseling.
Yeah, so it's going to be a pre-marriage there. It depends on the situation. So it's been really interesting because we've had both of those that we've been able to
Yeah, that's 35 years together.
Yeah.
How long did you date before you got married? They're looking at
5 months.
Just so everybody knows, they're looking at each other to
7
see if they
months?
can confirm
7
the number.
months.
7 months.
Almost 7
I was going to say 7.
Oh, it was quick.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
She said 5.
It was quick, huh?
Well,
I had it. Yeah, it was quick. Yeah.
It's quick. My wife and I, we
He's the math
started
magician.
dating. We started dating in November 2010, and we're married by January 2012. So like
Oh, yeah, there you go.
14 months, something like that. It was one of those things where we're just like, we know we're going to get married. Let's just get married. Let's talk about, now, when I emailed you, I had asked if there was something specific you'd like to talk about, and you mentioned SYMBIS. Now, this was new to me. I did not know what that was. So let's just start with what is it, and we are calling, people will see the title of this episode is called Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts, and that's what SYMBIS stands for. So let's talk about SYMBIS. It sounds like that's something that probably the other marriage mentors are all aware of as well. But let's talk about it. What is it?
well, we started out mentoring for repairing, and we thought we were going to kind of pigeonhole, or that was where we were going to be. But we were approached to actually work with a couple and do premarital. But they had some challenges because one of them had been married before. Okay. So we really prayed about it and felt like maybe the Lord was kind of essentially, marrying the two things, showing us, how to use the repairing, but also stretching us to go back to really where our kids are in their age, and that's, the age that you would typically marry. So SYMBIS stands for Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts. And so it's about going through some premarital, it's not counseling, it's really kind of walking people toward a curriculum, or maybe some other things that we bring in, some other resources that we bring in, and really address some of the things that they're maybe struggling, or they want to learn, or where they want to grow. And so we were very excited about that. But to be excited about finding SYMBIS, also they have another program that's saving your marriage before, or you're saving your second marriage before it starts.
Oh, okay.
So that curriculum really has spoken to the couple that we've been working with. Yeah. So
it was interesting the way we found that too, because I kept saying to Jeanette, I feel like we're missing something. Saving marriage before it starts, but it doesn't really apply to our couple. So I was having an issue. There's got to be something else, and that's when we found out that they had this other program, and it really does target some of the areas that people probably don't discuss, and some of the difficulties that they have, and some of the problems that they have as well. And it's really been kind of an eye opener for our couple, and it's been an eye opener for us too, because it's things that we never would think about even asking if we didn't have some direction, and we go, oh yeah, I could see what that would be pretty important.
Yeah. And it seems like, so again, I looked into it once you mentioned it to see what it was, and it's an assessment test at first, right? You go through and you take this assessment to find out how different traits about yourself, right, and how you fit together, and you learn a lot about each other doing this. We find this a lot with my wife. She's really interested in the Enneagram, which is just the personalities. And so when she started looking into that, and it's very similar to, were you at the, when
yes.
Mark Gungor came and did the flag countries?
Yeah.
Yep.
We did that.
We did that as well. And like when we did the Mark Gungor thing, unfortunately my wife was really sick that day, and so she didn't really get as much out of it as I did. But it was one of those things where it's like, she's like, oh, okay, I get it now. You're fun country and I'm not. So I want to always be having fun with something, and she's not always that way. Not that she's not boring in any way, but and then with the Enneagram, it's the same thing with the different numbers and things that where you land, and she's just kind of like, this makes sense to me that you're a 7, and that's why you look at things like this, and you don't want to talk about this right now. Like, I need to be prepared to go talk about the finance issues that we're having. I don't want you to just jump in and be like, by the way, we're in trouble financially. And I'd just be like, that's not fun to me right now. Let's not do that right now. Let's plan a time, and then we'll do it then. But this is cool to read, because the SYMBIS assessment, because I really think it is valuable to start to know your spouse or your fiance, whatever it is, in a way that you probably don't. And it asks some tough questions. I didn't take the whole thing, but looking through it, it looks like it asks some tough questions that maybe you wouldn't be ready to answer to somebody that you don't know.
Well, the interesting part, you take the test first, and then what happens, then you have a study guide, and you also have a video series that you kind of go through it. So in the beginning, yes, you get the results of the test, but then you dig in deeper to each of the categories that we answer. And so whether it comes to family, whether it comes to money, whether it comes to kids, discipline, spiritual walk, it's really interesting because while the original assessment could be pretty much cut and dry, but it's like expanding on that and through each. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's not boring.
It's really cool.
No.
Those things, I love those kinds of assessments too. How do you, so before we go to more in depth of it, how does somebody find this? Is it just symbis.org or something? Do we know? I can look it up real quick if we don't.
It's under the Simbas. It's Les and Leslie Parrott, Parrot.
Okay.
T.
Oh, I think the internet's out at the church right now. I'm not going to be able to find that. That's all right. Well, it's SYMBIS. I found it the other night just by Googling that. So you'll find it. And then it's also, you can get on there and you can look into what it is. And if you are in a marriage right now or preparing to be married, whether it's your first marriage or the second marriage, so the Simbis, the saving your second marriage before it starts, probably the same. You just navigate through the same website, I'm guessing. At least the same people, right? And if that's something you're interested in, you can definitely contact the marriage mentoring group here. So Garrett Ward and John Barrett, I think, are the way you initially get involved doing that. So what are some of the things, though, that really stuck out to you at first? What was the thing that stuck out that you were like, oh, I really like this assessment?
I think it took what we had done with the prior assessment that you mentioned. It took it and it really expanded it. So when you're talking about strengths and weaknesses, you're also talking about how you relate. How do you relate to the in-laws? How do you relate to your finances? And then you can look at each other's assessment because it's gathered together. It's not an individual thing at that point. It's kind of side by side. This is who you are. This is who you are. And it helps, when you talk about learning how to love and respect someone, this is something really tangible. You look at it and you say, wow, I love that about you. Wow, I can respect the fact that you are really strong on the finances and maybe I'm not. You can look at, wow, we're both out of debt. Let's stay that way for the rest of our lives. So you can really take those things and appreciate the strengths and then look at the weaknesses. And you don't take that all on at one time. You do it a little by little, going through the Simbas program and just taking it little bite-sized pieces, and addressing things here and there.
And when it comes to finances, one may be a saver, one may be a spender. That's a big difference, and that'd be something good to find out before you get married and how you can work together on that.
Yeah. How has Simbas helped your marriage? Or has it?
Well... It sent us into counseling. No, I'm kidding. No, basically what it did, we took the Simbas test. We just recently took that, and we're kind of going through it. It's something we need to talk more about it because it's just something new. But I'm surprised that after 35 years, I'd probably advise you probably should not get married or something, or this may not be the right person. No, but I thought it was it doesn't say that, but I'm just saying that.
I was going to say, if the assessment actually, if you've married 35 years, you take it and it goes, yeah, you should have done that. I would probably say, maybe don't recommend this assessment.
You guys are going to work out. No, but it's really interesting because, although we have definitely evolved through the years and certain areas that were probably weaknesses before are strengths now. But there's always areas to work on, whether you're married 1 month or 35 years or 50 years.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well, I think one of the things within the mentoring program, because Simbas is one of the tools, is in the mentoring program, they taught us really early on that there is a boomerang effect. And so if you're going to be involved, in any relationship, you're going to take risks. And so we have to look at the challenges that are coming at us. It might be spiritual warfare because, we know that Satan's not happy at the fact that we're working with people and that we're helping people, and he doesn't want us to grow. So we recognize that. We pray together. spend time with the Lord and let the boomerang effect, which is what we're taught, accept it. The boomerang effect means that whatever challenges you see someone else going through, you're going to be challenged too, but you're also going to grow. So it strengthens your relationship being in the mentoring program as well.
Well, was there something that you two learned about each other? You said you took it recently, right? So you're 35 years in. Is there something that you learned about each other 35 years in from this assessment that surprised you?
Well,
I'm throwing this question at you without preparing you for it.
No, it's fine. It's
Well,
fine.
she put me down as a saver. Those are areas of saver. I've never been a saver. Are you kidding me?
Are you disciplined, though? Are you a disciplined spender? Is that...
I have become one through many hours of training from my wife. No.
That's my wife now. She is a disciplined spender.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what else about it did you learn about each other?
Well, I think that there's a role reversal at some point. When you spend that much time with one person, you're going to take on some of those traits. And so I felt like when we did the assessment that when I said that he was a saver, that's what's coming out of his mouth. And that's how he's doing life. And so if it's not really something that's rubbed off so much as just I see the heart change and where his heart goes and what he values is changing. And so it causes me to want to do the same thing, to want to encourage him to do the things that are in his heart to do. And so I think it's the investment too.
Yeah.
He invests in things, and that's the growth. And I think for me, it's been just such a neat thing to see him grow so much, and that to be able to be in agreement, not be like the other person, but be in agreement, because we go to the Lord and ask him, what do you want us to do? Right. And we both come back together.
Mm-hmm. It's not like we have a conversation we don't agree with. I go grab that Simbas. I go, wait a minute. I know it's in here somewhere. See, you're right here.
You don't match up with this. You can't say that. You're not. That's not your personality type. It's kind of funny the way that the Enneagram with that too. That was my computer. Sorry. With the Enneagram also, just seeing like because you're supposed to like self-diagnose what number you are, right? And we say to each other all the time, whatever number that you sound like a 5, like that kind of thing. And she says that she's a 6, and I'm constantly just being like, I don't know, I think you're a 5. Like that doesn't stack up to me. It's really funny to do that. And so when she reacts one way, I'm like, see, that's not something a 6 would do. And she's just like, look, it's not all just for sure things. This is something that can be you're going to show traits of different things. All right, how has SYMBIS helped you counsel others, the people that you meet with? Now, how long have you been marriage mentors, first of all? I forgot to ask that earlier.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah, almost 2 years.
So you've met with probably a few couples. Right. What's the time range that you meet with them?
Usually we try to meet over 8 weeks, is the original plan.
Or 8 times.
Or 8 times.
Once a week.
Well, once every 2 weeks. Right, 8 times. Once
Depends
every 2
on
weeks.
Schedule. Yeah.
We've had it. It's really hard because in the beginning we want to make sure, because we're giving our time and for them to commit to their time too. We've had one drag out for like 3 months, 4 months.
But we won't talk about that.
Well, no, but it's okay because people will have lives and they have to adjust to, and so being a marriage mentor, you have to be patient too, because things do come up.
And everybody's schedules are different. You're not going to have any couple that's going to be just like another.
And that doesn't mean that we haven't had to change schedules.
Right.
Cancel. Or
Stuff comes up. Someone gets sick, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, what are some of the things from SYMBIS that have helped you counsel others?
Well, first of all, the mentoring is different, I think, from the counseling. The couples actually generally go through an interview process at the beginning, just to kind of see where they're at, so that
prior to meeting with you.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you get placed with them.
Yeah. Then they look for a good fit for the couple, and then we talk with them and see if everyone feels like it's a good fit and we want to proceed. So generally, in an interview process, if you have a couple that's really struggling, then they can tell whether they should be really referred for some counseling, maybe some counseling first and then mentoring. Yeah. So the mentoring is really great because we go through the training, but we also help point them to the resources and just keep pointing back to the Lord. And so it doesn't put a lot of pressure on us. And
SYMBIS is going to be a tool. That's one of the many tools that they use. For us, I found it very interesting because I like to have structure, and to be able to have a structure and to be able to go over point by point by point, and of course allow for it to have conversation. And sometimes for me, we may want to try to cover one chapter, but that chapter is a tough one. And it may actually take 2 times to actually go over it because it's actually, we're peeling an onion here and we're finding out an area. And we've had more than once they say, really, I didn't know you thought that. Or, oh, I didn't think about that. And it will give them a chance to discuss that before the next time we meet.
Mm-hmm. You also mentioned in your email, who was I talking to in the emails? Is that you? So you mentioned in your email also, you said you wanted to touch on the importance of strong connection with God and His Word. And one of the topics that we'll cover in our marriage series is going to be if your spouse doesn't want to go to church, your spouse isn't a Christian, you're unequally yoked. That'll be something that we cover. But touching on that subject now, the importance of a strong connection with God and His Word. What's something that you wanted to talk about with that?
Well,
besides that, it's important.
Well, I want to talk about the email because one of the practices that Sean and I have is that in the mentoring, everyone is communicated with all at the same time. So everyone is CC'd on emails. Mm-hmm. Sean and I have a discussion, and before an email goes out to our couple or the email went out to you, I read it to him. Oh. So that we're in agreement that these are the things that we're going to cover.
That's a great tool to use.
Yeah, then he knows that's what we were.
Oh, really?
We
said that.
If he remembers.
Really? Oh,
if he remembers.
Sean's like, I don't CC you on my emails.
Well, what email? No, I know what she's talking. No, I think that's really important. It's part of the communication, and that's one thing Jeanette's really great at is gives us a chance to discuss. You know, I remember growing up when it was Christmas. My mom used to buy presents for everyone. I had no idea what was bought, and hey, this is from Sean. Oh, really? I didn't know I did that.
Yeah.
You know, but with her, what we're able to do, and when she communicates like that, it allows for us to be on the same page. Mm-hmm. And because we've had it before, and on a very rare occasion, where something gets said, and it's not something I necessarily agree with, you know, and vice versa.
A conversation never happened about it.
Right, exactly. And I go, really? I don't remember talking about that and saying, okay, yeah, I agree with that. But that's important for us to be able to communicate, not just in now, but just life in general.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's get to this now with the strong connection to God's Word. It's something that comes up. I'm hope this should come up every time we do a podcast about marriage because it's so important to be equally yoked in that and be on the same page. We see our marriage do so much better when we're actually reading God's Word together. And even when we're not reading it together, we can tell when we're both reading something because we'll talk about it. But a lot of times we try to do, the apps are all super convenient now where they'll do like a devotional. Brett sends out his email devotionals every day, that kind of thing. But it's so important. What's your input on this? You brought it up in the email too, so I don't want to take credit for it.
Well, I think it's come up a lot with a couple that we're working with right now because they're talking a lot about really wanting to grow in the Lord. How do we do this? Mm-hmm. How do I become the husband that I want to be when we get married? How do I become the wife, that's supportive but still has a life of my own and isn't at home waiting for, him to walk in the door and putting pressure on him to, be that person. And so it's going back to God's Word. It's going back to your relationship with the Lord has to be your relationship with the Lord strong first. Then you come together and God brings things, brings that agreement together because you're both filling up and you're not leaning on each other to fill needs that only God can fill. And so that's been really great for Sean and I, because I see how we confirm each other, and how, we can be come together and talk about something, and it's on his heart, it's on my heart. We know the Holy Spirit is telling us how to do this, how to deal with this certain situation, how to make this decision, how to parent, how to grandparent.
Well, too, and that's one thing. I've never been a big reader. I know that sounds terrible.
I think you and I have more in common than we realized.
But you know what? I want to be able to take the time and read the Word, but I also like audible books too. Listen to the Bible audibly. We sometimes will put that on and end up falling asleep to it, but I still listen to it. But it's really important to be able to set that standard for your family and base your relationship with your spouse and your relationship first with God first. Because that comes first before the relationship with the spouse. That's got to be on solid ground.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen a situation where you had the one person was raised in a church and all through it, and the other person was brand new, and the brand new Christian felt really intimidated because they felt like they weren't on the same level, so they couldn't communicate. And the other one was trying to push them, well, you need to learn more about God. I've done this all my whole life. And so that could also be a problem between a couple, is you have one that may be a newer Christian, if one at all, and then that intimidation factor kind of drops in.
Mm-hmm. Is marriage mentoring, is it encouraged for couples, even if the ones that aren't going through something, some kind of tragedy or rebuild or anything like that, to seek out marriage mentoring?
There's actually 3 different areas that we're trained on. One is the premarital area. The second area is making a good marriage better. And then the third area is repairing.
Right.
So if you have people that are really in trouble that really need a couple to come alongside them and help them walk through some things. So it's absolutely for anyone that is just wanting to, to walk through with a part of your marriage with another couple.
Yeah.
And I think the couples that we've worked with, we've always seen right off the bat, like they would just be a great couple. They can take when they get through what it is that they're doing, they would be an amazing couple to take and, multiply that and to work with other couples.
Yeah.
So
and we see that a lot. We do see that, and the whole idea is to pass it forward, kind of. You see couples that have gone through it become mentors themselves.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. I think I did hear that Brett and Andrea shared that there's going to be another training sometime soon here. I don't know when that was going to happen. I think the COVID stuff keeps getting in the way of those kind of things. And everything's up in the air, right? We can't plan 2 months out right now. It's kind of hard to do that. So any final thoughts you wanted to share before we take off here?
I want to thank my husband.
Oh, that's sweet. Do you want to thank your wife, Sean?
Yes, I do. But, well, gee, I have to now. Of course. No, I feel that we're very fortunate and blessed to be part of the program. And I'm fortunate to be in this with my best friend. And,
that's awesome. 35 years too.
35 years.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We're going. My parents, their 40th is. It's this week. No, wait, next week. It's next week.
Awesome.
40th.
Happy
Mom and Dad
40th, Mom and Dad.
56, 55. Where are they?
Mom and Dad will be 55.
55.
Yes.
It's so crazy. Like my
year,
parents just being
year.
with 40. I'm just kind of like, I mean, I'm not 40. But like just thinking like, man, that is such a long time. And when we're thinking, Caitlin and I are coming up on year 9, and we even think like, oh my gosh, can you believe it's 9 years already? And so what's it like, 35 years? Do you look back like that and go, can you believe that it's been 35 years?
Well, we're starting to hit the speed limits. Once you start to hit 25, you go, okay, 35, okay, 35, you can drive to the city.
One before. That's a good one.
But now we're on the freeway. We're not on a freeway yet, but we're driving about 40 miles per hour.
You're not in a school zone anymore.
But my in-laws are on the freeway. That's for sure.
Yeah, we're in Hawaii, stuck in some traffic. So,
going up that
9 miles
volcano thing. Yeah,
yeah, going at the bridge where there's only one way, so you got to wait.
Yeah, that's right.
We're recommending SYMBIS as something that's great for couples to look into. Anything else? Any books or podcasts? Whatever you'd like to recommend. It can be anything or nothing.
We have a huge list of resources through the marriage mentoring program. So if anybody's interested in the mentoring, I would just say contact Spring Hills.
Garrett Ward
Garrett
specifically,
Ward.
I think would be the one to go.
Yeah.
And you know what? Not everyone. There's another speaker, Paul Tripp, right? That would really work well with certain individuals or couples. So it really depends on the individual that would fit their needs.
Mm-hmm.
So SYMBIS is, I believe, is good for everyone, but you know, there's other programs that are available too that could be more applicable.
Yeah, and you know what, the Mark Gungor, the Flag Country one is a lot of fun.
Oh yeah,
Mark is hilarious, man. There used to be a sticker. I don't know where the sticker went. Somebody took it down on the fridge right there because he was back here during that whole thing. So I was back here just hanging out with him, and he it's the funniest person I've ever met. Just everything that he's saying is so entertaining. Maybe that's the word, entertaining. Most entertaining person I've ever met. And I came back here at one point, and he was putting a sticker on the fridge, and it said, "Outbreed the pagans."
Oh,
that's awesome.
And he was just like, "I feel like you guys need this back here."
They were selling books in the back. I'll make this quick.
Yeah,
they're selling books in the back, and we decided to go ahead and help with selling the books. We come to find out that he's going overseas. And going, where are you going? Germany. Germany. What part of Germany? He's going to the same part that my son.
His first deployment.
Was stationed
first
at?
deployment.
Mm-hmm.
I go, you got to be kidding. So we ended up buying Andrew a book and then writing stuff in the book and gave it to him. And he goes, "Hey, Andrew." When he's at the meeting.
He handed it to him?
Yeah, he handed it to him. He goes, "Your parents told me to give you this."
That's amazing.
I know.
That's
was
so
like,
cool.
Wasn't it like that weekend?
And he had no
after?
clue that was going to happen?
It was the next week.
It was like week late. It was just like.
Did he call or email or something? Just
He's like, "Yeah, Mark Gungor asked me if my name was Andrew Barclay." He said, "Your mom wanted me to give you this."
Yeah, that's right, your mom. That's right. That was awesome.
wanted me to give you this. And he'd probably been married only a couple years at that point, right? You said he's married 6 years?
Yeah, 6 years. Yeah.
So that's cool. That's a whole nother ballpark. People that serve in the military that are married, the things that they go through.
He's getting deployed for 6 months, coming up pretty quick, and two very young kids. So
wow, yes, I didn't even think about doing one with that. Maybe somebody that's either doing that now or has dealt with that in the past. That'd be another one to go through.
It would be amazing. He actually does. He and his wife do conferences, and
what are they called?
I got to think about it for a minute. But they
maybe
have.
Maybe I could get them on the phone.
Oh my gosh, they
cool.
have a military version for Dave Ramsey. They have a military version for Mark Gungor.
Yeah.
The military buys a lot of these kind of programs and books.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And why am I not remembering the name? It's...
We both can't get it.
What's fun about this?
Isn't that
What's
so
fun about this is if you come up
funny?
with it really quick, I'll cut all this
Yes.
out, and it'll sound like you had it right off the top.
Perfect.
Well, yeah.
Well,
So that's another one that'd be really cool to do. Is
He would
about
talk to him.
military families.
Him and Molly in an interview. It would be amazing.
I haven't done one over the phone yet. I know I can Bluetooth straight into the sound system thing here, and it might be pretty good quality. I don't know.
Andrew's deploying.
No, it won't be.
January to
him.
June.
You'll meet him
They'll
next
be
June.
here next
good.
summer.
Great. That'd be great. Yeah. If they're here, that's even better. That'd be cool. All right. Lastly, I just want to remind everybody we are meeting this weekend on campus. We have a lot of different ways that you can attend church, including online. We do still have the online streaming, and then you can come, and we've got an outdoor seating venue. We've got a space right outside the big bay doors with some heaters. Don't worry, there are heaters. You will be warm. Our services are at the normal time, Saturday at 5:30, Sunday morning at 8:15, 9:30, and 11:15. So don't miss out on this weekend. Sean and Jeanette, thank you for being here. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Thank you so much,
We'll get you back on here sometime soon here. Probably January, February, we'll be doing the marriage series. So that'll be great.
Okay.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.